WWE Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania. And again, hell has seemed to froze over as the Honky Tonk Man is in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, it's just, again, we had Jeff Jarrett in the Hall of Fame. A name that we thought was never going to happen. We had Randy Savage a couple of years ago. Obviously a man that deserves it, but we never thought it was going to happen. And last week, China in the Hall of Fame. A part of DX, albeit, but still in the Hall of Fame. But the Honky Tonk Man has a great career, which we'll go through really quickly here. First off, for All Pro Wrestling, their Universal Heavyweight Championship. For Big Time Wrestling, the recent edition, not the territorial version of years prior, their heavyweight title. For the International Championship Wrestling, their heavyweight title. For the Legends Pro Wrestling, which originally was the XWF, for those who remember that, their Hall of Fame in 2008. For Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation, their heavyweight title. For the Mid-South Wrestling Association, which could be technically linked to Memphis Wrestling, but I'm not sure there, but their Tennessee heavyweight title. For the NWA Mid-America, or the CWA, the Continental Wrestling Association, which was Memphis Wrestling. The AWA Severn Tag titles, because they had the affiliation with the AWA at the time. 4 times holding that. 3 times with Larry Latham, who would later on be Moondog Spot. And once with the late great Tojo Yamamoto. And the NWA Mid-America Tag titles 3 times with Larry Latham. For the North Atlantic Wrestling Association, their tag titles once with Paul Hudson. For the Northern States Wrestling Alliance, once with Greg Valentine, a fellow Hall of Famer, if not should be in the Hall of Fame. For the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, number 189 in the PWI 592 and 263 in the Year's Edition 2003. For Southeastern Championship Wrestling, the Fuller promotion, which eventually became Southeastern Gulf Coast Wrestling, the NWA Alabama Heavyweight Championship once, the NWA Southeastern Heavyweight Championship, the Northern Division, which there was a Northern Division and a Southern Division for the whatever reason there was, I'm not entirely sure, their title once. The NWA Southeastern Tag Team titles, try saying that 5 times fast, with Ron Starr. And the NWA Southeastern United States Junior Heavyweight Championship, longest title name I've ever seen in my life. For Stampede Wrestling out of Calgary, the Stampede International Tag titles 3 times, twice with Ron Starr and once with the Cuban Assassin. And the North American Heavyweight Championship once. For Ultimate Championship Wrestling, their tag titles with Bushwhacker Luke of all people. Which, okay. For the Ultimate Championship Wrestling in Virginia, their heavyweight title. For the Universal Wrestling Association in Puerto Rico, their heavyweight title. For the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico, the Caribbean heavyweight title once. And finally, the World Wrestling Federation, which is a thing I've left out for a while because former Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, back when it was still the WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, it's controversial in some ways because if you think about it, he wasn't even supposed to win the title. It was really supposed to go to Butch Reed because at that time, Ricky Steamboat was going to take time off her family, but 6 months obviously was too much to take the Intercontinental title off the road. At that point, it was straight off WrestleMania 3, if not a couple months after WrestleMania 3, to where Butch Reed was going to win the title. And at that point, we could be talking about Butch Reed being in the Hall of Fame if he actually showed up, but he didn't. And Honky Tonk Man replaced him, winning the title, which set off for over a year title reign, which ended at SummerSlam 1988, the first ever SummerSlam, with the Warrior taking the pin in less than half a minute. But there's some controversy in that because technically, had Honky Tonk Man not won the title, the Macho Man Randy Savage would have been the Intercontinental Champion later on in that year. That WrestleMania 4. That would have set the stage for Ted DiBiase to be the world champion like he was promised, And the $1 million title probably would have never put into existence, if not later in its lifespan. So I'm not saying it's a great thing for the Honky Tonk Man to have the title, but you think about the alternate universe of what would have happened, then at that point we could have a whole different WWE where we could be talking about the $1 Million Man being WWF champion officially. Nonetheless, a great reign nonetheless, and of course the Hall of Fame of this year. And for finally, the XJAM Pro Wrestling, which I've never heard of in my life, but you know, you gotta have those indie dates, brother. Their heavyweight title once. But as we close here, and there is something interesting about all this, Honky Tonk Man had a managerial career as well. Of course, he was managed by the legendary Jimmy Hart, who is also rumored to be in the Hall of Fame in the next few weeks. However, Honky Tonk Man had a managerial career of his own, which leads me to believe this will be the first time ever that Rockabilly Gunn and Honky Tonk Man will be in the Hall of Fame in the same time. If you think about it, it will happen. It will happen, and there will be some address to it. But with that being said, one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time, in his mind, the greatest of all time, which is not to be doubted, but there's a lot better names in my mind, personally. However, you think about a guy that was pretty much an Elvis impersonator, but not even a good one at that point. Somehow became one of the biggest names in our industry. And for that, it should be commended.